do I just say got it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, welcome back to A+ Parents, everyone. And with me today, I have an author, a homeschool young person, and her name is, I'm going to say this right, Genevieve Noelle. So that is her pen name, and that's what she goes by. And she's 14 years old, but she started writing when she was 10, and she has a series right now called A Dog in Time. So I want to make sure I got this right. It's a series of, it's a novel series, but it's a series of seven books. Is that right, Genevieve?
The first one's the only one that's out so far. I'm working on the other ones, but yes.
Okay, so they're coming, and A Dog in Time. So I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about what that is and how she got started. And she's already published, and she's a teenager. She has been homeschooled her whole entire life, and she's the oldest of five young people that are in her family. So you know, mom and dad got to kind of experiment on her to see how this is going to go and figure out the world of homeschooling, which is awesome. And her dad Kyle is with us today. So if you see Kyle in the bathroom, that's dad, and he just is kind of hanging out here. So they're from Florida now, originally from Ohio. And let's see if I have anything else in here. Actually, I think the really cool thing, Genevieve, is to have you kind of tell your story about how you got into writing. And definitely I know we want to hear about, you know, A Dog in Time. But one thing that I really admire about you is that something that you're out to do is you're out to inspire young people, inspire children. And I just think, you know, to give them the inspiration to read, to write, and you said to never give up. And I just, yeah, that's, you know, we tell people all the time, you know, how do you achieve any goal? Don't quit, right? Yeah. That's it, right? Don't quit, keep going.
That's all the shots you don't take.
That's right, exactly, that's right, exactly right. Okay, well, anything else you want to share with everybody about you, or did we get it all? We'll probably talk more about you as we go too.
I think you got it all, yeah.
We got it all? Okay, awesome. Very cool. Okay, so being homeschooled the entire time, we'll start there. So you're the oldest of five, right? And, you know, have you noticed, like, you know, as you've seen things and you see mom or dad and they're working with your younger siblings, have you ever noticed something when you're like, oh yeah, I remember when mom did that with me? Do you notice that she does things a little differently now?
Or well, moreover, things that she tried to do with me that didn't work. I've seen her done the improved version with the other kids, you know.
That's exactly right. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's really great. Well, thank you for being number one so that you could provide that leadership to lead the way for how it goes from there. So that's really awesome. Okay, so let's look, because, you know, we were just, as we were getting ready to start the recording, I found out that, you know, and I think this is going to be really great for young people that are listening right now or watching this on YouTube, wherever that they're seeing this episode, is that, you know, oftentimes when people think about, especially a young person like yourself, you started writing your first novel when you were 10 years old, right? And so people, I think the automatic thinking is, oh my gosh, you must love to read and you must love to write stories. But that really wasn't you, was it? That was, no. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that. How did you go from being someone who wasn't a big fan of reading and writing to writing novels?
Yeah, it's a very fun, it's very big switch between the two of them. When I was 9 to 10, I hated reading, hated writing. It just didn't interest me. I just would rather run around and pretend I was a lion or something like that, you know. But then my mom tried to get me more into it. I was very stubborn. So at that time, after a while, it was just me just not doing it for the sake of not doing it. But now, you know, mom started reading Harry Potter, which is a very common book. And she started reading it aloud to all of us. But since she's a mom and she has to do things like feed us, she had to go and make food and do stuff like that. So she couldn't finish all of it. And I was just like, all right, whatever, I'll read it myself. So I started reading it one night and I finished that entire, I didn't stop. I read it until midnight and my parents had to come in and be like, go to bed, it's nighttime. So then I just read the entire series in a span of, I think, a week.
It was a very short
period of time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, then I read it. Oh, sorry, yes.
No, that's okay. I just think that's amazing. So I'll tell you, so I'm not a huge reader myself. Like for me, like, I'm a math guy, right? So it's kind of like I use that as my excuse, but you know, it's like you know, I like to read math problems and I like, you know, like reading that kind of stuff. But you know, to sit down and read a novel is it's a challenge for me. So I'm practicing. I will say that I'm practicing to do more of that, right? But it's but I have to work at it. It's not doesn't come naturally for me, right?
Yeah.
So here you are now. You've gone through and you really got really kind of fascinated and excited about Harry Potter, and you found this joy for reading, right? So how did you move from being somebody who you didn't like reading at all, writing, to somebody who now has an appreciation for it and starts to love it, especially through the Harry Potter series? What led you to wanting to write your own book? And here you are, what, 10 years old when you're doing that, right? How
Yeah,
did that
10
happen?
years old. Uh, well, I read the entire Harry Potter series 4 times because I got bored. So I read the entire thing 4 times, and then we couldn't go to the library at the time because we had a bunch of things to do. So I got bored, and I was like, you know what? I'll just write what I want to read. I started writing A Dog in Time because I wanted to read it. I just wrote what I wanted to read, and I wrote it I got a piece of paper, and I folded it in half, and I used each page, side of the paper as one page. So in each that was a chapter. So for the first, do you have the
I have
hand
it
drawn thing?
somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, because I drew a little cover. I wrote each page of the book, and then it was like this big of a little handwritten novel. It was really bad. It was very bad, but it was interesting enough for my parents to be like, write another one, please. So then I wrote another one, then I wrote another one, then it became so big of a thing that I wrote it on a computer, and I edited it, and then I got a publisher, and then I published it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really, really amazing.
thank you.
Okay, so I want to ask you more about what it is about your writing and the things that you do, what you're up to, but tell us about A Dog in Time. Tell us about the series. What's it about? Because there's going to be young people out there already. They're like, well, okay, but yeah, I want to go find
Yeah,
it, right? And we'll have all the links for people to get to Amazon and see where to order it and find out more about you. I think we have a press release about you as well. So and
yeah.
we'll get your social media feed up there. But tell us about the book itself. So what's A Dog in Time about?
A Dog in Time is a 7-part series about these 3 dogs, 3 puppies, Rover, Butch, and Rick, who get stuck in this whirling series of events that leads them to going into parts of history with a time machine. They fall into a time machine. They have to go through all these times in history: pirates, knights, dinosaurs, Native Americans, a bunch of other Romans, even in the later books, a bunch of other things they have to go through, and they have to try and navigate their way through the history and past. And there's also a group of bad guy dogs who are trying to meddle with history and mess things up, and they have to go and fix it.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. That's so funny. So Genevieve, you probably aren't going to remember this. I think Kyle might, right? Do you remember it was a Sherman and Mr. Peabody, right? And it was
I
right.
saw that
You've
actually.
seen that, right? That's the first thing I thought of. I remember
Yeah, sure, Mr.
I guess
Peabody.
Mr. Peabody was the dog, and they would travel
Yeah, yeah.
back in time. So that's so cool. So not only are the dogs traveling back in time, you've also got the other dogs that are trying to mess up history, and your
Yes.
dogs are in there to try to good. Okay, so how'd you come up with the 3 names for your dogs?
Well, at the time, hold on, I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Yeah, at the time, I was really into the name Rover for some reason. I know it's a very, very common dog name. It's one of the first ones. I don't know why I liked it so much, but I really like that one. And then the other 2 just came to me. And it's not really that much interesting of a story. It's just I like the first one, and the other 2 just came to me. So
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Well, and I think that's maybe Rover had something to do with that, right? He said, hey, I'm going to tell you my friends' names, and here we go, right?
yeah,
There you
yeah,
go. Okay, so you've got this series going. Now that you're 14 and you've got the first one and there's more coming, right? What do you hope to accomplish with your book?
a lot of things. One of the main one is actual genuine storytelling, because in today's media and today's movies, TV, books, there's a lot of lack of that. There's a lot of just not a lot trying. If you see the blockbuster movies now, the new Disney movies, they're all just remakes of the old ones. They're devoid of storytelling, devoid of feeling, and I miss that a lot. So I want to, because all the art is hand drawn. That's something that you never get. You never get any more. Everything's CGI in movies now. You never get anything hand drawn in anything ever. So that's hand drawn. It's just a story of dogs in a time machine, just trying to, get imagination, get whimsy back into storytelling, because that's gone now.
Wow. All right, cool. So there's storytelling, and you just made my day. There's pictures.
Yeah. There's some pictures.
That's awesome. Who does your artwork? Because I think you're starting to discover yourself as an artist too.
Yeah.
But who else helps you with your artwork?
My dad. My dad is an artist, and he helps me hand draw the artwork.
Yeah, Genevieve did the
Yeah.
concept art for the first book, and she asked me to do the final art.
Final. Yeah.
So I did that. But she's gotten really good at her artwork, and we're encouraging her to do the artwork for her upcoming books because
Yes, yeah.
she's gotten very, very good.
That's awesome. Kyle, when she was doing the, when you were going to do the artwork, did she tell you the story first and then you had the artwork come with it? How did that happen?
Her mother and I were part of the editing team. So
Yeah.
we
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
so we kind of knew what it was before we
Yeah.
started the artwork.
Yeah, my mom edited it. My dad edited it too, but my mom was the main editor, and my dad did the artwork. Of course, my siblings, they're my main critiques.
Of course. Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Okay. So now if here you are and you've got a book written and you're continuing to write more, right? And you were a big Harry Potter fan. So is still Harry Potter? Is that your favorite book to read, or do you have something else you like now?
no, I love Harry Potter. Recently, I have been getting into smaller, lesser known book series to try and see what is not there. I really like the City of Ember. It's a little series. But yeah, I still really love Harry Potter. Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you say the other one, Bay City of Amber?
The City of Ember.
The City of Ember. Oh, okay, good. Okay, good. That's
No,
the
it's
City of
fine,
Ember.
yeah.
Cool. And I love that. So you're looking at series to see how series work, so that as you're creating your own series, that's
Yeah.
very smart. Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Very smart. Good view. Okay, so I don't know if you know, but I wrote a book myself about a year ago. I'm getting ready to start on a second one, and looks like a third one is coming as well. And it takes something to write a book, right? So, when you're doing that, oh, by the way, my mom, who is, I think she's 80, she's 83 years old now, right? And she
Yeah.
is my editor, right? So
Oh,
we
yeah,
actually
that's fun.
we had an editing, we had
Yeah.
a whole editing team, right? And it was so funny because we had this team doing it, and they'd come back and there was 3 or 4 people that were doing the editing. They would send it back to me, and then I would send it to my mom and I go, "Hey mom, why don't you be our final editor?" Right? Well, she did such a good job that our editing team tried to hire her. And I said, no, she's retired, leave her alone.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's so great that you get to, do this with your parents. So I think that's really, really awesome. But for me, it's like, to get ready to get the next one started, right? I look at that and I think, wow, finding the time and having the energy and staying focused. And, sometimes you get the first chapter written and you're like, okay, this is really great. And then how do you keep the energy going, right? So how about you? Like, do you get energized by writing, or does it kind of wear you out sometimes?
I have this. I like to write a lot, so I have a lot of free time. I'm homeschooled, so as you know, so I have a lot of free time to write. So it does energize me when I'm writing, but I have this issue I'm still working on where I burn out. I write until I burn out, and then I keep writing. I try to push myself to get the next word in, get the next word in. So I'm still working on it, but it mostly just does energize me, yeah. But if I burn out, then it doesn't.
Yeah, it's time to rest, right? That's why mom and dad are there in the background. It's like, okay, girl, let's take a break, right? That's why otherwise they would have let you read all night that first book in Harry Potter, and they had to turn you off at midnight, right? Even that was late.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, now, I know a lot of our listeners, there's moms and dads listening and young people listening. And oftentimes, I hear this, and I hear this a lot. It's kind of funny. I hear this a lot in adults, right? And it's like, I'm going to write a book someday, right?
Yeah.
But I want you to focus on our young listeners right now, because sometimes they think the idea too. It's like, man, I want to write a book. So what advice do you have for young people and moms that are listening, and dads that are listening too? What's your advice for people that are aspiring writers?
Right. Because you think you're going to do it, and then you're like, oh, I'll do it when I'm older. Oh, I'll do it when this happens. Sit down, get a piece of paper, just write your ideas at most. If you're a perfectionist, write your ideas, go over them, and then just start writing. It's not going to be perfect the first time. Don't try to make it perfect the first time. Write the first thing, go back and edit it again. If you're not interested, if you know you think you're going to be interested in writing, you try it and you don't like it, then now you know. But just write. That's what I'd say.
I love that. That's awesome. Now, when you first start writing, do you recommend doing like you did, like pencil and paper first, or hopping right on the computer? What would you recommend for people?
Kids nowadays, I assume, have a lot of computers because it's a lot of online schooling nowadays. At the time, I was 10 and I was homeschooled and I didn't have any, so I just did it on paper. On paper did help me a lot because I could do it at nighttime. Before bed, I would write a bit and then I go to sleep. So it just really depends on what you do most of the day. Because if you're on the computer most of the day, it'd probably be easier for you to do that. But if you have a lot of paper and you want to do that, then you could do that. I don't know. It really just depends on the person and what you have, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, that's great. I like that too, because because oftentimes, like, I don't want to take my computer to bed, but if I got a little notepad or something, I want to jot some notes. That's good. I can use that as well.
Yeah.
Well, that is really awesome. Okay, so in your so you have the first part of the series is out, first novel in the series is out. Do you have an anticipated date for the second one to come out?
No.
Not yet. Okay.
She is working really hard.
I'm
and
working
pushing.
very, very hard.
She's about
Yeah.
half to maybe 3/4 the way through writing the second book.
Yes, I already have some pictures.
Oh, good.
done.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I was asking was that when it's ready, what I want to do is have you come back on and we can tell everybody that it's out there and they can go check it out too. Okay. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say at most, I hope I don't know, I don't want to say anything and then have it be not done, but I'd say maybe 2 years, maybe a
Well,
year.
we're hoping for sometime next year, early to mid
Okay.
next year.
We're hoping.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's okay. You have as much time as you need, right? You just kind of take it and go. Well, that's okay, because we'll still be doing podcasts. So we'll have you come back.
Yeah,
on.
I'm not worried about
Now,
that.
and if I remember right, you have a second series that you've already got planned after your first series is done, right?
This one is a lot different than the other one because A Dog in Time is a historical fiction sci-fi type thing. I wouldn't say sci. It has time machines and stuff. But the other series is fantasy. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, stuff like that.
Wow.
I don't have anything else to say about it just yet because I haven't really wrote much of that yet.
That's okay, but you've got like the storyboarded out kind of a thing, like you know where it's going, and that's really, really cool. Now, but you did tell me that you kind of like you're kind of foreshadowing a little bit by one of the images in your current book is going to kind of lead the way into that new series.
Yes, one of the images in A Dog in Time has a secret. It has the title of the other series hidden in it. So if you're interested in looking for that, you can.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, well, that is super cool. Well, that's great. Well, Genevieve, first of all, thanks for making your day work to be here. Thanks for joining us. And Kyle, same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dad, thank you for doing that as well. And we're gonna have you come back and do this again. So we'll talk more about when novel 2 in the series is ready to go. We're gonna keep up with. Okay, tell me the dogs' names again. There's Rover,
Butch, and Rick.
Rover, Butch, and Rick. All right, so we got to check up on the adventures of Rover, Butch, and Rick and see how they're doing and where they've been traveling to and what they're up to. Super cool. That's so great. Well, it's really great to talk with you, and just thank you for being very inspiring. It's just it's awesome because it's like you actually are like living, kind of when I say living the dream, it's like there's so many people that they're really interested in in taking on big projects like that, like writing books, whatever else they might be interested in, but you're doing it. And I just think it's really great. So being able to tell your story just inspires other young people to say, hey, I can do it too, right? And your whole thing is, don't quit, don't give up. So I love that. That's really great. All right. Well, Genevieve, thanks again for being here today. And we're going to have you back and we're going to do this again.
All right. I'm excited.
All right, great. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in today to A+ Parents, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.